This is your Daily 5 for Monday, January 5th, 2026. I came across an interesting article over on The Verge that is titled, "It's Finally Time to Retire the Word Podcast." And good headline, made me read the actual article. And it's one of those cases where, and this happens now and then, and I'm always kind of secretly delighted by it, where an author makes an argument in the first half of their article and then pretty much argues against their earlier point in the second half, and that's exactly what I feel like this is, because the overall gist, and I'll link to it, you should read the whole article. I give credit to authors when they write something that I read, others should read it. So if you read through this, the argument being made in the opening of the article, the first half, is that the term podcast really doesn't have a meaning. That podcasts have now changed. They have incorporated elements of talk shows. They have changed from their earlier concept, which I don't know what that earlier concept was. The author seems to apply a sort of definition to podcasting that I don't think ever existed. And some of the examples cited are not what I was listening to early on. So again, I don't know that a podcast was ever what this person thinks it was. Maybe it was for them, but it was not, I don't think, for everybody. Also, just to be clear, I hate the term podcast. I've never liked it. I didn't like it at the very beginning. I still don't like it, but it's what everybody attached themselves to. So whatever, what are you going to do? People attach themselves to terms even if you don't like them. So in the opening, the author's saying, well, now that talk shows and TV shows and formats and video and all this stuff has changed the nature of what a podcast is, the term doesn't mean anything. So the term that we should use, instead of using a diluted, out-of-date, and overly generic term, let's use the word show. Yeah, show. S-H-O-W. Not a term that's at all outdated, diluted, and meaningless. So this is essentially, this article is arguing that you should trade one meaningless term, in their view, for another. Because if I tell you I do a show, do you have any even beginning concept of what that means? No. Show doesn't mean anything. Podcast, whether it actually applies to what somebody is doing or not, it gives you at least a starting point, which is generally, oh, they're doing some kind of semi-regular show, you can use the term then, that is done primarily on the internet and distributed via the internet. They're not in a studio somewhere, usually. They're not working with a crew, usually. Now, are there examples where that happens? Of course there are. You know, the explosion of celebrity podcasts has basically, I think that's part of what the author is talking about. But I don't think that's something that means we should stop using the term. Again, a term I don't even like, but at least it gives you some sphere of what somebody is talking about. Whereas if I say, oh yeah, I do a show every week, that doesn't tell you anything. It gives you no concept. That means I could be on a street corner juggling dishes. Yeah, I do a show. I juggle ceramicware and try not to break anything. It's great. Everybody loves it. Nobody loves it. Nobody wants to see that. So show is not any better of a term. In fact, I think it's a worse term because it is such a big blanket of nothing. It barely means anything within the context of what it used to be applied to. It's like saying that something's on TV. Is it? Or is it on a streaming service? Do we call that on TV? You know what I mean? There's already a murkiness about the term show to begin with. Now you're going to fold one more type of doing things into it? Okay, well then now we have a term that's going to mean even less than it did before. So I don't disagree that the consolidation and the celebritization, not a word but I'm making it up, of podcasts is problematic because it does confuse what the concept was, at least initially, although I don't know there was ever really like a concrete term to begin with. It's not like we have to have strict standards there. The idea of podcasting is to be open, and the author even says that audio-only podcasts aren't going anywhere. Okay, well then, if we want to make sure that this format stays open, if we don't want to make it something that feels like it's now, because show sort of gears towards big names and celebrities, if you want to preserve what podcasting is in terms of its openness and its accessibility, then why would you shift from that term to one that for many people is an association with business and celebrities and movies and TV? No, Again, I think the article is actually arguing against itself. So do I think that the term podcast needs to be retired? No, it's not a term I like, but I don't think that we should throw it away just yet. Later.